Come on, Toga. Hi, this is Brian with The Balanced Dog, and today I'm going to do a short little video, kind of an introduction on the dog's 3 instinctual drives for survival. And it's important to understand that these drives are for survival, so we don't want to squash them or suppress them, so to speak. And it gives me a really good understanding, like when I get a dog in and evaluating it, I'm looking at those drives and I'm kind of trying to determine, you know, what those levels are. So every dog has these 3 drives, but they all have different levels, and that's the key, is to understanding and figuring out what each level is for that particular dog. And all my dogs here have different drive levels. So pack drive, that's the first drive. Prey drive and defense drive. Defense drive is a little bit more complicated. So again, in the future, I'm going to get into more detail on each drive and then have visuals with the dogs out, me working a training dog or my own dogs. So pack drive is that dog's willingness, pretty much his willingness to want to work with me or the handler, owner, so to speak. And it's not in a way where the dog neurotically follows you around, can't be separated from you. That's more of a neurotic sort of codependent behavior. What I mean by a high pack driven dog, a lot of times you'll hear people say the dog just wants to please. That's probably a high pack driven dog, you know, where he's looking to you a lot. They're actually really easy dogs to train because they want to work with you, right? So when you understand that and you get a high pack driven dog in, you're like, this dog's going to train really well. So again, each dog can have different levels in that pack drive. And then we have prey drive, which is pretty obvious. Prey drive is triggered by sight, scent, and sound and movement. And then we have defense drive. And in defense drive, we have the 2 kind of well-known behaviors as flight and fight. And then you also have freeze behavior. So Hoku back here, I don't know if she's on camera, but she was a freeze dog, and extremely challenging dogs are freeze dogs. And I think she's probably the only one I've had in my entire career. Now, you get dogs that shut down, that's far different than freeze, right? Freeze is a conflict. They don't know to go into flight, or they don't know if they should go into fight, right? So the whole goal is to try and move that dog and actually get it to go into flight, and then you work it from there. So, but Hoku was a freeze dog. She's also low defense. Hazel here came in for training, and then we were going to rehome her, and I ended up keeping her because I loved her pack drive. It was so high. And her prey drive's pretty high too, but she's also really low defense, high flight. So it was easier for me because of the pack drive to actually fix her flight behavior, because she wanted to connect with me, but she was just afraid of me in the beginning. Tioga here is a new dog of mine, and he's was from a hoarding situation, so not a lot of exposure to the outside world. So people and noises are kind of his issue. But again, I liked what I saw in the video. He was up with Sherry Lucas, and I liked how he was with the dogs. That was important for me. Him not being very confident around people or in certain situations, I can fix that, and it's going to be easier to fix because his pack drive was really high. So I liked how he is with dogs. He was around a lot of dogs, so that was a appealing sort of point to bringing him in to the pack. And he's fairly new, you know, so we're, you know, making some headway. Before I take him into town or into the city, I really have to build up his confidence here first and build up a stronger connection with me, which is going to happen easy and much faster because of the pack drive. Edie, who is, she's probably in her trailer. Edie's a very high defense, confident dog, no flight. She's more medium fight behavior, and that doesn't mean she likes to go out and brawl. And again, I'm going to get into more detail on those 2 behaviors, the flight and fight. Flight's pretty easy. You know, you can see it in the dog's body language. He's actually holding himself up pretty good right now, but sometimes you'll see him kind of tuck his butt under, or he lowers his head, you know, if you encroach on him, like over the top and things like that. That's definitely some of your signs of a low defense dog. But Edie, very confident. Her her pack drive's probably about medium, her prey drive's probably about medium as well. So she's a really, really good dog for Tioga to be around because he can learn better social skills with Edie when I'm bringing in dogs that are really unbalanced. So, and then here's Hoku making an appearance. So anyways, just a quick little synopsis on the drives. Oh, one other thing I wanted to point out is that every dog is born with these 3 instinctual drives. Every coyote, wolf, they all have the same drives. They just all have different levels. And that's the key, is that when I get a dog in and I put them on a long line, because that's my go-to, is to let that dog go out, and how much pressure on that line does it take to turn that dog? How intense is he on a rabbit? And so my initial snapshot of that dog, you know, I had a dog come in and I said, wow, he's really high prey driven. I don't know about his pack drive, but again, these dogs come from the city to the mountain. So I have a lot of prey up here, lizards and squirrels and ground squirrels and rabbits and coyotes and so on and so forth. But what I find is that when I start doing the long line work and I'm getting them to turn with me, or maybe I'm getting them to recall in, either of those commands are switching that dog out of prey drive back into pack drive, right? And so with that dog that came in, it was a big pit bull. Only after like 2 days, I realized, okay, his prey drive isn't that intense, and his pack drive is actually far higher than I expected in the beginning. So again, that's part of my evaluation, is to say, okay, this snapshot, this initial snapshot when the dog comes in, this is what I put in my head, right? And then through the course of training, I'll start to see those drive levels switch. So you can't make, like, from an extreme point, you can't take a low prey-driven dog and make him a high prey-driven dog. It's just not in the cards for that dog. And the same holds true that, let's say I have a dog that's operating on low prey drive, like the pit bull that came in. He was operating on low pack drive, high prey drive. But through the work and doing the let's goes and the recalls, those drive levels started to shift, you know, because I'm switching him from prey back into pack drive. So within a couple days, I realized, okay, here's where his true levels are. He was actually higher in pack and probably medium in prey, and his defense drive was kind of low medium, right? So that's what you discover through the course of training, is that those drive levels are going to shift. So I hope that helps, and look for some videos in the future of me breaking these drives down individually with some of the training dogs that I bring in.